Welcome back to the war. Picture this, the dawn of February 24th, 2022. Kyiv, a city steeped in history and culture, awakens to the sound of explosions. The Russian military, in an audacious move reminiscent of past invasions, crosses into Ukrainian territory with one clear objective: capture Kyiv. The world held its breath as the specter of urban warfare loomed large over the Ukrainian capital. Get ready for a story of resilience, strategy, and the indomitable human spirit. Join us at Legacy of War as we take a deeper look. Before we start the video, don't forget to check out our selection of playlists. We cover other wars like Vietnam, the World Wars, as well as Viking and Roman times. We will also be adding to our collection soon. Make sure you like, subscribe, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Now relax and enjoy the video. That's in order. The build-up. Kyiv, with its historic and cultural significance, is not just the heart of Ukraine, but also a crucial geopolitical prize. Capturing Kyiv was central to Russia's strategy, aiming to decapitate Ukraine's leadership and quickly end the war with a regime change. On the 24th of February 2022, Putin announced a special military operation to demilitarize and denazify Ukraine, claiming Russia had no plans to occupy the country. In January and early February 2022, satellite images and intelligence reports confirmed the buildup of Russian forces along Ukraine's northern border, including in Belarus. This buildup featured advanced military hardware, such as T-90 tanks, S-400 missile systems, and electronic warfare equipment, indicating a sophisticated, multi-pronged assault plan. Ukrainian intelligence, aware of the looming threat, began fortifying key positions around Kyiv and conducting emergency drills. Civil defense units and volunteers were mobilized, transforming civilian infrastructure into makeshift fortifications and establishing evacuation routes for civilians. The key battles. The silence of the early morning shattered by the roar of missile strikes. At 4 a.m. on February 24th, 2022, Russian missile strikes targeted key military installations and infrastructure in Kyiv. Simultaneously, armored columns advanced from Belarus towards the Ukrainian border, aiming for a swift penetration towards Kyiv. Hostomel Airport. During the initial phase of the Russian invasion of Ukraine on February 24th, 2022, Hostomel Airport was a strategic target for Russian forces due to its proximity to Kyiv, about 10 kilometers northwest of the city. The plan was to use the airport as a bridgehead for a larger assault on the capital. Early on February 24th, Russian forces launched a massive air assault on Hostomel Airport, deploying paratroopers and special forces via helicopters. They quickly overran the initial Ukrainian defenses and took control of the airport. Ukrainian military units, including the elite Rapid Response Force, quickly mobilized and counterattacked. Intense fighting ensued, characterized by heavy exchanges of small arms fire, artillery, and airstrikes. Ukrainian forces managed to inflict significant casualties on the Russian troops and briefly regained control of the airport. Over the next few days, the airport saw continuous and brutal clashes as both sides fought for control. The airport's strategic importance meant that control shifted several times amidst the fighting. During the battle, the world's largest cargo plane, the Antonov An-225 Mriya, housed at the airport, was destroyed. This loss was emblematic of the wider destruction inflicted on Ukrainian infrastructure and military assets. Despite the initial Russian success in capturing the airport, the determined Ukrainian defense disrupted Russian plans to quickly advance on Kyiv. The delay allowed Ukrainian forces to reinforce and prepare for the defense of the capital, contributing to the eventual stalling of the Russian advance. The fierce resistance at Hostomel Airport demonstrated the resilience and determination of Ukrainian forces, undermining Russian plans for a swift victory. The battle highlighted the significance of controlling key logistical and strategic points in modern warfare, as control of the airport would have facilitated a major Russian offensive towards Kyiv. The eventual failure of the Russian forces to maintain control of Hostomel Airport contributed to the broader failure of their initial invasion objectives, leading to a prolonged and ongoing conflict. Irpin. The Battle of Irpin, fought between late February and late March 2022, was a significant engagement during the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Irpin, a city located just northwest of Kyiv, became a key battleground as Russian forces aimed to encircle and capture the Ukrainian capital. Russian troops launched an attack on Irpin as part of their broader strategy to advance on Kyiv. The battle began with heavy shelling and attempts to push through Ukrainian defenses. Ukrainian forces, comprising regular military units and local defense groups, mounted a fierce resistance. Urban combat was intense, with street fighting and house-to-house engagements. The battle resulted in significant civilian casualties and destruction. Many residents were trapped, leading to a humanitarian crisis as they struggled to evacuate amidst the fighting. Irpin's resistance played a crucial role in delaying the Russian advance towards Kyiv, buying critical time for the defense of the capital. By late March, Ukrainian forces managed to repel the Russian assault, forcing them to withdraw from Irpin. The successful defense of Irpin was a turning point in the defense of Kyiv, contributing to the failure of Russia's initial campaign to capture the city. Bucha. The Battle of Bucha, which took place in March 2022 during the Russian invasion of Ukraine, was a significant and tragic engagement in the Kyiv Oblast. Bucha, a town northwest of Kyiv, experienced intense fighting as Russian forces attempted to secure a route to the capital. Russian troops captured Bucha in the early days of the invasion, using it as a staging ground for their assault on Kyiv. Ukrainian forces launched several counterattacks to reclaim Bucha, leading to fierce urban warfare and heavy casualties on both sides. The battle created a severe humanitarian crisis, with many civilians trapped in the town. Reports of food shortages, lack of medical supplies, and damaged infrastructure emerged. By the end of March, Russian forces began to withdraw from Bucha as part of a broader retreat from the Kyiv region. Ukrainian troops re-entered the town in early April. Following the withdrawal of Russian forces, Ukrainian authorities and journalists discovered evidence of widespread atrocities, including mass graves, civilian executions, and widespread destruction. These war crimes sparked international outrage and calls for investigations. The revelations from Bucha led to increased sanctions against Russia and bolstered international support for Ukraine. The events in Bucha became emblematic of the brutal nature of the conflict and galvanized global condemnation of Russian actions. The Battle of Bucha and the subsequent discovery of atrocities highlighted the severe human cost of the invasion and underscored the importance of accountability in conflict. In response to the rapid advances, Ukrainian forces implemented a strategy of mobile defense, focusing on hit-and-run tactics to slow the Russian progression. Bridges were blown up, and roads were blocked to hinder the movement of Russian tanks and mechanized infantry. Kyiv transforms into a fortress, its defenders prepared to fight street by street. As Russian forces breached the outskirts of Kyiv, the battle turned into fierce urban combat. Ukrainian defenders employed guerrilla warfare tactics, setting up sniper nests, utilizing Molotov cocktails, and executing ambushes in the narrow streets and alleys of Kyiv. Civilians played a crucial role in the defense of Kyiv, providing intelligence, logistical support, and even joining the fighting. Stories of bravery emerged, such as residents using social media to report Russian troop movements and local businesses converting their facilities to produce defense equipment. International support. The world rallies behind Kyiv, providing crucial lifelines in the form of aid and intelligence. Western nations quickly responded to Ukraine's calls for help, providing essential military aid. The United States sent thousands of Javelin anti-tank missiles, and European countries supplied portable air defense systems, enabling Ukrainian forces to effectively counter Russian armor and aircraft. NATO countries shared real-time intelligence on Russian troop movements and strategic plans. This intelligence allowed Ukrainian commanders to anticipate Russian maneuvers and fortify key positions, turning the tide in several critical engagements. Beyond military support, the international community provided significant economic and humanitarian aid to sustain Kyiv's resistance. Supplies of medical equipment, food, and financial support helped maintain morale and ensure the civilian population could endure the siege. Turning the tide. From the brink of collapse, Ukrainian forces launched a series of bold counteroffensives. By late March 2022, Ukrainian forces, bolstered by international aid, began counterattacks in the northern regions. Coordinated assaults in towns like Irpin and Bucha targeted Russian supply lines and command posts, effectively stalling the advance towards Kyiv. By early April 2022, facing unsustainable losses and logistical challenges, Russian forces began a strategic withdrawal from the Kyiv region. This withdrawal was marked by the destruction of bridges and infrastructure to delay Ukrainian pursuit, but it ultimately signified a major failure in the Russian campaign to capture Kyiv. Aftermath and analysis. The echoes of battles still linger as Kyiv begins to rebuild and reflect on the cost of war. The battle for Kyiv resulted in significant casualties and extensive damage to the city. Thousands of civilians and soldiers were killed or wounded, and critical infrastructure, including homes, hospitals, and schools, suffered severe damage. The successful defense of Kyiv had profound strategic and symbolic implications. It boosted Ukrainian morale, strengthened international support, and exposed critical weaknesses in the Russian military approach, influencing the broader war strategy. Although the immediate threat to Kyiv was repelled, the conflict in Ukraine continued, with new fronts and ongoing skirmishes. The lessons learned from Kyiv's defense are shaping Ukraine's military strategies and international diplomatic efforts as the nation continues to fight for its sovereignty. Conclusion. The battle for Kyiv is a story of extraordinary resilience and strategic ingenuity. Despite overwhelming odds, Ukrainian forces, supported by a united civilian populace and international allies, managed to thwart one of the most formidable military forces in the world. The defense of Kyiv has become a symbol of national pride and international solidarity. As the war continues, the legacy of this battle will undoubtedly influence the future course of the conflict and Ukraine's path forward. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Check back in again soon. Salute.